Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. You know, a lot of my brothers are dead or gone, but they've been hanging on the block a little too long. What can I say? I hope they live to see a brighter day. And the ones that are doing fine, God bless you, 'cause you're doing fine. At the end of the day, don't forget about me. As days turn to weeks and weeks turn to years, oh, I feel for my brother. As time passes by, I see you're not satisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. The street life used to be on, straight up hustling till the break of dawn. Taught me how to do wrong right, everything is tight. But somehow things started to change. Try to get us straight up out of the game. You couldn't see what I saw. The empire was starting to fall, and everything that I said never seemed to get into your head. I tried to do the right thing, living my life with the words that I sing. Now tell me, I wanted to know what happened to my best friend. As days turn to weeks and weeks turn to years, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. And as time passes by, I see you're not satisfied. Oh, I feel for my brother. Feel for my brother. I miss you, man. You're my brother. I said I love you, babe. I won't forget you, no. Oh, no, no. Oh, no, no, no. Sometimes I feel life is cheap. Everything's disposable and so are we. Can you hear me? Life is real, yeah. And if there's a heaven above, please start showing a brother real love. 'Cause I wanna go home. Oh, I feel for my brother. I miss you, man. Oh, I feel for my brother. You're my brother. I feel for my brother. Oh, no, no. Feel for my brother. I wanna go home. I feel for my brother. I won't forget you, no. I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother. I feel. Oh, I feel for my brother. I feel for my brother.
Gracious God, creator of the universe, and yet the lover of my soul. Alpha and Omega, and yet I can call you friend. I don't have to beg you for anything, but I can thank you for everything. God, I thank you because this is the day that you have made, and I can rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you for this day of magnificence and glory and splendor. God, I thank you for life, health, and for strength. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for peace, love, and joy. I thank you for the essence of you that envelops me right now from the crown of my head to the soles of my feet. We thank you for this day of manifestation. We thank you for the day of revelation. We thank you for the day of impartation. We thank you as you move in the midst of your people to bring us to the greatest times that we've ever seen since the foundation of the world. Thank you, Lord, that for this time and for this season, you've allowed us to be a part of your move in the face of the earth. I thank you, God, for the revolution that you're bringing forth, God, even in the midst of the earth right now. And I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of what you're doing in this hour, because in the last days, saith God, you said you would pour out your spirit on all flesh. And so now we thank you for the pouring out. God, I thank you for the rain and the move of your spirit. I thank you for fresh oil. I thank you for new wine. I thank you for the new thing that you're doing. I thank you now that it does spring forth. I thank you, Lord, that you've called us to be the head and not the tail. You've called us to be above only and not beneath. You've called us to be the lender and not the borrower. You've called, God, that our storehouses would be full and increase. God, I thank you because even I decree and declare that the people under the sound of my voice, even now, are moving in the might of your strength. Not by might nor by power, but by your spirit. I thank you for those that are the sons and daughters of God that are called because they walk not after the flesh, but after your spirit. I thank you for the rising up of the people of your kingdom. I thank you that your kingdom come. I thank you that your will be done, even now in earth as it is in heaven. I thank you, Lord, because you are moving in the midst of your people mightily as never before. Raise us up, oh God, to the standard of what you've called us to be. God, I thank you for the standard of greatness. I thank you for the standard of holiness. I thank you for the standard of moving as the sons and daughters of yours, and not as vagabonds, not as those that never knew you, not as those that are confused and confounded, but God, those that know who they are in you. I thank you for the knowing. I thank you, God, for knowing you. I thank you for knowing your presence. Thank you for knowing your Holy Ghost power that gives us the ability to be successful. Your anointing that gives us the power to rise up and be called blessed. Thank you for that is in us. Thank you, God, for all things that pertain to life and godliness. Thank you because we are not confused. We are not deceived. And we thank you for that clarity of mind and the clarity of vision that allows us to walk forth as kings and queens, as princes and princesses in the kingdom that walk in the earth. We thank you that we are your beloved, and we rise up as the apple of your eye. We rise up, oh God, as those that you love with all of your heart. And God, we love you back. I thank you for soundness of mind. I thank you for soundness of spirit. I thank you that healing is our bread. Healing is our deliverance. By the stripes of Jesus, we're already healed. And we speak forth that healing even now for those that need it. Thank you, God, for every stripe that was taken. Thank you for the bruising. Thank you that he was wounded for our transgressions, bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. God, with those same stripes we declare and we speak healing in Jesus' name. We give you glory. We give you peace. We give you honor. We give you blessing. We give you might. We ascribe all of these things unto you because they are yours. Thank you. The fruit of my lips giving thanks unto your name, ever giving you all that is yours. Glory, honor, power, dominion, majesty. It's yours. I decree it and I speak it. In the mighty name of Jesus, it is so. Amen and amen. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to appreciate you for joining me on this Wednesday. Oh my goodness, can you believe it's Wednesday already? The week is basically over. On this Wednesday, October the 21st. My goodness, can you believe that? October the 21st in the year 2020. And I just want to thank you. I just want to, Lord, I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you all for being so good to me and coming on up in the house this morning. It's another day's journey, and I'm glad about it. Well, as we get ready to get started here, you know how we start. I want to say congratulations this morning. It all goes to Jams JJ for Grandpa Holmes's chair, girl. I mean, you were in here. I appreciate you so much for making it in this morning. And listen, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I am so glad that you made your way in the house today. Thank you so much, dear. I really do thank you. And I want to say good morning to everybody. I hope you had your good cup of coffee this morning, and I hope you're ready to go, because as we get up in here, we're going to move it right along. I appreciate BTD Mom. So glad to have the Rebel Inc. I'm so glad to see Chris G41 on 3D and SK8843. I want to say good morning to all of you this morning for making it on up in the house. Woo, thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the biddies, Chris G. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody that's in the house. Well, yes, you're going to notice those that are just coming in. Things are a little different because I made affiliate on Sunday. Yes, I did. Yes. For those that are in Twitch, I made affiliate on Sunday, and so you are able to subscribe to my channel. You're able to send biddies. You're able to do a whole lot of things. I actually have a Giphy out there, and I've learned from Rebel last night in the experience trying to latch onto hers that I guess you have to be on a laptop, or actually from the browser. Let me get that correctly. From the browser to get the Giphies to work. Otherwise, if you're like me on last night, I was in the app. I was in the Twitch app, and so I wasn't able because I hadn't added those things on yet. But we're putting stuff in there because we want to keep the show fresh. We want to keep it live. We want to keep it something that you'll enjoy as we go along. So again, Jams JJ, it's all about you this morning in Grandpa Holmes's chair. Now, my sponsor, my corporate sponsor, and all of your sponsorship goes towards keeping this program going for those that subscribe, as we call them subs. For all the subs, that is how we keep this going. In the meantime, though, I appreciate, I see SK8843 was my last subscriber on yesterday, and that's what you'll see, that star at the bottom of my screen. It tells us who subscribed last. Chris G gave us some biddies. And our last person to like what the link was, IRL admin. That's from Twitch. Now, I want to go back and give some love to Rebel Inc. I think I may have missed getting that shout out to her on yesterday. I can't remember. Your old girl is getting a little up in age, and my brain starts working a little slower, and I can't remember. But the Rebel Inc., that is who has been my corporate sponsor from day one. I want you to go to the rebelinc.com. Right now, you see me, I've got my Love Over Hate collection shirt on, and it feels so good. Yes, some fine clothing wear from the rebelinc.com.
You can be the message and wear the message. It's all good. I love it. Thank you for the biddies, BTD Mom. Thank you for the biddies. So as we move into today's episode, I appreciate you again for coming on up in the house. Let me make some adjustments here, and we're going to get the music going because I got something queued up for you. We want to have a good time up in the house today. So as the song starts us off, let's go higher, y'all. Higher, higher, higher. This is where we're headed. Thank you so much. Well, come on and hurry up. You're going slow this morning. You're moving like Uncle Joe. You're moving kind of slow. I need you to cue it up a little faster. Here we go. Here we go. We're going higher. Now, I queued something up for you guys today, and I hope that you're going to enjoy it. I have friends that are just hilarious. When I tell you I got a little bit of everybody that, because listen, I makes no discriminations between who I interact with, because I love everybody and I have a great time. Some of my friends are just pure D nuts. I'm gonna tell you, just pure D nuts. I want to just bless you this morning. Let me get it all set up for you. That's the thing about these. I have to kind of take my time and get everything where you can enjoy it. Let's enlarge that, because I think y'all gonna enjoy this little bit on this morning. And I'm gonna tell you right off the bat that the caption reads, and some of y'all gonna really enjoy this. The caption reads, back when your pastor was a quartet singer and he sang with his brothers. That's what I'm gonna share with y'all today. I think you're gonna enjoy this little clip. It doesn't take that long, but y'all remember when the Jerry Curl was in? Do y'all remember that? When the Jerry Curl took over the pulpits? When the Jerry Curl ruled the land. Well, I'm gonna pause my other sound just for a second, because I want y'all to get all the fullness of this, because I think it's gonna bless your life. I think it's gonna bless your life. So you enjoy and listen to this little song. All right? All right.
Have you got good religion? Have you got good religion?
Do you got good religion? Come on here. Shake that Jerry Curl. I'm gonna do it one more time, because it took me a minute to get the other music cut out so y'all could really enjoy it. Oh, the devil's loose, because we ain't trying to see no Bill Barr. That ain't what we trying to see. We ain't. Well, you know what? It ain't gonna cooperate, so we gonna keep on going. I hope y'all enjoyed that little clip. I didn't get it all. I'm moving too slow. I need somebody that can help me run this channel, because I was just moving too slow. But I'm telling you, that just blessed my whole entire life when I heard it. And that is on the page of the Bishop Odell D. Talley, if any of y'all want to go out there and see it again, because all day long it's the cracks. All day long it's the cracks. You know that song? The Rebel Inc. Oh, you message you. Okay, I can't do all of that and talk at the same time, Rebel Inc. So listen, it all belongs to God. Amen. Brenda, it's good to see you in the house this morning. I love you, girl. I love you. Now we're gonna get it going. We're gonna keep it moving. Jerry Curling for the Lord, SK8843. I'm here to tell you, honey, the Jerry Curl ruled the world. I had a few of them, and some of us are still wearing them, but it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's okay. All of it's good. Now, I want to go back and I'm going to talk a little bit this morning. I saw a good friend of mine who does a daily update before we go into the news. She did a really good update on yesterday. You had one too, Chris. Did you have a curl? I'm telling you, there was a day when curls ruled the world. Old folks, young folks, middle-aged folk, everybody was sporting a curl. Then you had to debate, was it a Jerry curl? Was it a California curl? What kind of curl was your curl? Oh, was it greasy? Was it wet? Was it dry? When you got up from the chair, did you leave all kinds of information that said you had sat in that chair? Because I mean to tell you, some of those Jerry curls messed up a whole lot of furniture, walls, and everything else. Pillowcases all full of Jerry curl oil and syrup. You thought you was cute. I'm sure you were, girl. I'm sure you were. So that took me back. I got all kinds of cracks off of that, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I thought you would too. Now, I'm trying to find, I had my girl all queued up, and then my phone done went and did something else. But that's okay, because I remember what it was about. While you slumbered, slept, and slobbered, there were reports that came out, and I missed this one. I don't know how I missed this one. But there were reports that came out that the reality is they finally decided that it was wrong to separate these immigrants from their children. And y'all remember back in 2017, they started taking the parents one location and taking the children someplace else. Yes, I got the shade. This current administration somehow or another thought it would be beneficial to separate these children from their parents. Now, I just can't get no understanding. Could it be? Already this morning. Could it be? The devil? Yes, child, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
Ain't nothing but the devil.
So at the end of they knew it was wrong in the beginning, Teresa. They knew it was wrong in the beginning. Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. So here we go. Now, and I feel like this is a handwriting on the wall. I think people are really believing, and I hope it's the truth. God knows I hope it's the truth. People are starting to believe that this old slimy devil is going to be put out of office soon and very soon. That's it, BTD mom. It ain't, listen, that's all it is.
Ain't nothing but the devil.
So we're hoping that this slimy slewfoot is going to be put out. Their kids used to taking away from folks. Listen, this is just so unbelievable. Well, here we have it. This is what came out yesterday. Because now in the courts, cruelty on steroids, SK. Who would do it? Now, yesterday, it was reported to me that as they have had the attorneys that have now determined, the courts have said this is wrong, these children must be reunited back with their parents. 545 of the parents cannot be found. Did you hear what I said? 545 of the parents cannot be found. Now, it's being said that they believe, thank you for the biddies, Chris. It's being said that they believe the parents have been deported. They believe the parents have been deported. It's just a dastardly deed. Dastardly, I tell you. How in the world like you lost them. Like they just disappeared off the face of the earth and we don't know where. You know what you did with those children's parents. And at the end of the day, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, how long was this gonna go on? And they were gonna try to act like they didn't know. Jams JJ, they're saying they know the parents were deported. Exactly, Chris. Exactly, Jams JJ. They know they deported them. And this is the thing that I'm saying. Why go through this little charade like you hunted for them, but you couldn't find them? You could quit lying. Oh my goodness. I read that article this morning and the whole of it got worse and worse and worse the more I read it. Because at the end of the day, we keep playing these dastardly games. That's Dick Dastardly, in case you didn't know. We keep playing these dastardly games. Some of y'all too young to remember. We keep playing, and Mud. Y'all might remember Mud. I should have put Mud up there too. We keep playing these dastardly games as if we didn't know that the parents were deported, and these children now have been spread out. If they can find family members, they're allegedly putting them with family members and in foster care. It's just dastardly. It is. And why are we playing this game with ourselves? Why are we acting like we're shocked, stunned, and amazed that the families are not here? Like we could not locate, like they just walked off and left their kids. I'm telling you, some of the children were too young to identify or name their parents. Child trafficking much? Come on here. These poor babies and their parents. It's heartbreaking. And yes, this is what is happening in the United States of America in 2020. Human lives mean nothing in this cruel world that we live in. It means something to some of us, Chris, but to a whole lot of these people in power, it means something else. Because listen, I have to wonder about your intention. When you keep the children and send the parents away, what are you planning on doing with these kids? What are you planning on doing with these kids? And then some insane mind thinks that it's better, somehow thinks that it's the right answer to start putting them in foster care with strangers. I just can't get no understanding. I just can't get no understanding. Yeah, I mean, I got to understand it. But how in the whole heaven do we think? But they are pro-life and against abortion. And there you said it, Royal Confessions. They're pro-life and against abortion, to hear them tell it. But you have separated these babies. That part, Chris, that part. You know what that is. It ain't nothing but some warmed up mess. That ain't nothing but some warmed up mess. Because at the end of the day, that's the fly that you see flying around that hot mess. You want to talk about pro-life and anti-abortion, and you have taken, and now I really want to say this, because in all sincerity, can you imagine the brown word, Rhonda? It's the brown word. Can you imagine what those parents must feel like? And some of those, as was already pointed out, oh Lord. Yes, BTD mom, the fly will never die. Ever since that fly landed on Pence's head and then laid itself atop and abreast Miss Coney Barrett, that fly will never die. That fly will forever be on this show. I'm here to tell you because that fly blessed my good soul. That fly blessed my good soul. You heard? These children and their parents. And this is the United States of America. And the way the article read, and this is the thing that disturbs my spirit, y'all. We always try to change the narrative in a way so that it doesn't look so bad on us. But at the end of the day, I don't care how you tell that story. That story is dastardly. That story is out of control. That story is full of the devil. And I don't care what nobody says. I'm telling it like it T-I-Z tis.
Ain't nothing but the devil.
And at the end of the day, listen, they're drawing flies because that's exactly what they are. Oh, we gonna have everything up on here today. That's exactly what we're dealing with. That's exactly what we're dealing with. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. My eyes, my ears, as I read it, I was in utter amazement. I just could not. And that was last night's news. Well, all I can say is that I'm glad that somebody, listen, it's crazy if you're deported, the parents, why not with their kids, send them out with them? It makes absolutely no sense to separate them, Chris. But we're going to get to my word a little bit later. In our empowerment intent. What was the intention? We see the wickedness of your intentions. Because ain't no way that you gonna tell me that there was any intent whatsoever to do right. You had no intention of doing right. Could not have had any intention of doing right. And I just think it's absolutely, positively unbelievable that we as Americans are not just screaming all kinds of bloody murder, because this is some insanity. Slavery. That's exactly what it is. We don't want you, but give me your kids. Because we going to work them to death. We going to mistreat them. We going to sexually abuse them. Because these jokers are pedophiles, and I'm not QAnon, but at the end of the day, there's a whole lot of pedophilia that's been going on with these folks for a long, long time. Y'all saw me post that picture yesterday. And this is the thing. For our president who tried to come back and say, new Epstein, just a little bit. And then you see him and all these other nasty looking grown men with his two little kids. These are Trump. If you see that picture, those are Trump's two children that you're looking at. Who takes your little kids? And you got Ivanka standing there looking all sheepish in some kind of way. Nasty. And there's no reason why those babies should not have been reunited with their parents and then deported if that's what you're gonna do. Why did you keep the babies? Yeah, we know your intent. We know your intent, and it's ugly. As we keep wanting to try and push and promote that we're all about the kingdom of God. Nasty, the Rebel Inc. Nasty. For their sick pleasure, Chris. And I think that at the end of the day, I want to understand how you marry that to this is what God has chosen to lead us in the United States of America. And God walks on the grounds of the White House. and all that other stuff that Sister Girl been spouting throughout all of this sick mess. It's sickness. It's nasty, y'all. Ain't no doubt about it. And it's all kind of shade. It's all kinds of shade. Because babies are at stake here. And that's what I want us to understand. When you impact our babies, and again, what's the intent? And I'm already starting to reach over a little bit into my conversation for later on, because the word of the day is intent. I'm going to just go ahead and let the cat out of the bag while we're talking. What is the intent? What is the intent when little children are traumatized by seeing their loved ones maimed, murdered, killed right in front of them? What is the intent? What is the intent when we make little kids go back to school knowing good and well they gonna get the coronavirus and talking about, well, they young, they'll get over it? What is the intent when we know that all of this is going on? And particularly, y'all know, it gets under my craw. I'm not even gonna lie. When you start messing with babies, I don't want you messing with anybody, but I sure don't want you messing with little kids. They're helpless. They're dependent on us to protect them. They need care. They need love. They need protection. And all I can say is we let these little babies down. I don't care if they were immigrant. I don't care if they were illegal. The intent is to decrease the population. I hear you, Chris. But listen, when you are dastardly, I said dastardly enough to start messing with the children. And of course, it didn't just start. This isn't nothing new. But I'm saying in 2020, and we see this, and the leadership, I just don't even know what to say. I just don't even know what to say. All I can say, and I think they see the handwriting on the wall, all I can say is apparently somebody else is of the mindset that old guy may not be back. So we need to start straightening up some of this wrong that we've been allowing to act like it's right when we knew it wasn't right from the beginning. But God, let us pray for the parents of those children that have been separated and are in a whole nother country and have no idea, I'm sure, what's going on with their children. That is mental torture. And is that the idea that we want to send out to the world? Come to our country and we will mentally torture you and then send you back and keep your kids, keep your babies. Some of them are literally babies. I don't know, y'all. That story right there tore me up, and I was so disappointed with our treatment of these people that were coming here for sanctuary, and we took advantage and have done something evil. I'm talking about evil. So yes, one more time, and I can't even do it with gusto because I feel so badly about the way we've done these people. Could it be the devil? And if you don't feel for the people, and for everybody that wants to get all religious and legalistic and say they shouldn't have come here illegally, if you can't feel compassion for that, I don't know what's wrong with you. I feel for those brothers, sisters, and the children. And yes, Chris, it's the devil. It's the devil. And sad to say, we did that. We did that. And I'm just going to pray. I feel, yes, the spirit of Phaedra. Fix it, Jesus. That face. Phaedra is good for that one. Fix it, Jesus. It's another stain on our country. And child, by now we got so many stains and soils all over it. It's just what? And there comes a point in time, y'all, and I'm gonna say this as I'm moving on to my next story, where we have to start dealing with truth. Sometimes it's hard to deal and it's hard to hear the truth. But it's amazing to me how we love to bury our heads in the sand and not acknowledge what's really going on. Because if we did that, we did that. And there's many things that we've done, not only here in our lands, but abroad and across the seas. And we need to really be honest with our treatment and what we've done to the people and take our fair share of accountability and responsibility. That's all I'm going to say about that. Now, Nancy Pelosi this morning is with Mnuchin, and they're saying they're going to make another run at a stimulus. But in the meantime, Mitch is opposing it. Now, you notice I unshaded for just a second because they're trying to do something different. They're trying to move it forward. But you got one man, and I really want to talk about that. That's why I had to shade it on back, y'all. I had to shade it on back. Why is this one man
Ain't nothing but the devil.
so powerful that all these people will do whatever this one man says? I need these folks to grow up and have some courage. Now, if we gonna vote you in there, and you gonna be so mamby-pamby that you can't be, if I only had a brain, if you're gonna be so mamby-pamby that you cannot think and vote for yourself, and you're scared to break lines, listen, Mitch is full of it. Mitch is full of it. Listen, Mitch is not just a piece of it, he's the whole dog. So at the end of the day, you cannot think for yourself, and whatever this one person tells you to do, that's what you're going to do. Now, I want to say this because in times gone by, that was huge. In times gone by, that was huge because Mitch was all that in a bag of chips. Now, mind you, like I said, he came to the Senate poor. And whenever he leaves the Senate, he's going to be filthy rich. We've got to deal with all of these elements and issues that really exist in our country, in our system, and it needs to be corrected. Because at the end of the day, the purpose of becoming a politician and holding these seats is not to become a career politician so that you can make all kinds of money and come in looking like Po Joe and go out rich Mitch. Something is wrong with that. And then to wield this kind of power, because in the article that I read, they were also addressing not just because, number one, Mitch doesn't care about Main Street. He's all about Wall Street because that's who made him filthy rich. Mitch has got to go. Come on now. Come on. I want that brother to just smear him and wipe him up like he's nothing. Because he has been completely detrimental, not only to Kentucky, he's been detrimental to the whole country. Mitch needs to go. Ditch Mitch. Now, this is what's actually starting to formulate. It looks like we just might ditch him. And Mitch is so mean and nasty and surly. Mean and surly. What was it? Kingdom Come. Mean and surly. He's so mean and surly. I already told you, he's for Wall Street, not Main Street. So we already know that. He doesn't care about you. But also, if they don't pass it, and it is a Democratic put in office, Democratic administration, then it also makes it that much more difficult to have the economy come back so that you can have the Republicans continuing to whine, or those that are on that mindset and trajectory, because I really want you to hear, folks are sick of that. And I'm going to tell you, the generation now, our millennials, they ain't having it. They do not understand why there's not cooperation across the aisles. They don't understand how we got here and all of this crazy stuff. But at the end of the day, they like cancel you with the quickness. So I'm looking, and there's a reason why. One of my friends posted something. I want to go back and get that real quick if I can. And he identified the issue is partly when you look at the age of who's running the country, y'all. Now come on here. I want you to pay attention to this. Let me find my friend. He's my guy. He's my twin brother. I love him. He had a post that I loved it because at the end of the day, listen to this. Our presidential candidates are 74 and 77. Our Senate majority leader is 78. Our House Speaker is 80. Do y'all see a problem with this picture? Do y'all see a problem with this picture? And this is real stuff. This is real talk. The average age of the Senate is 62 and the average age of the House is 57, while the average age of the American population is 37. The average age is 37. And we got 74, 78, 80. Come on here. What are we doing? There is an obvious disconnect. And that's why you have an agenda of these old heads that are saying, we want to go back to the way it was. We want to keep it. We want it. All of this retro. Retro is done. Move forward. And I don't care whichever way you go. And that's why I'm saying, even as we are coming out of this election, going into whoever wins, and then the 4 years thereafter, you're still talking about a bunch of old heads running the country. As I said on the other day, I tried to vote somebody out of office, and they're your career politician. When my mother, who has recently moved to Missouri, so she didn't know the candidates, and we had what little conversations we did have, but at the end of the day, when I read the names, she only recognized that one name. And what did she say? Vote for him. And he's old as the Dickens. There was a day he was young and vigorous, full of vim and vitality. That day is gone, and his hips are still going to be sitting in that chair. So we have to think about in the meantime, and that's why I'm saying even what we're doing right now, we need term limits. Absolutely, Teresa. We need term limits. Shout it to the rooftops, T. Because at the end of the day, what do we end up with? The situation we're in right now. Now, y'all can worry about experience and this and that and the other and all the other talking points that we have against bringing our young people strongly into the process. But listen, nobody should have an idea that I can sit my hips in this chair and 30 some odd years later, my hips are still sitting in this chair, whether I'm doing diddly squat or not. That is a problem, y'all. That's a problem. I'm not even talking about party. I'm talking about system. It's a problem. And so now we're sitting here looking, yes, term limits. So we're looking at candidates that are 74, 77, 80, when the average is 37 years old. The elderly vote on name recognition. That's why we need the young people to vote. Well, I agree with you there, Royal Confessions. They do. They name recognition is what they relate to. And so at the end of the day, it's going to take a minute. And when I say this, stay in the race, stay in the process. We know the process needs to change, but unfortunately, right now, it's going to be a slow, gradual process because you got to get that mindset out of the system of the country which means that you're going to really have to wait for that generation to start to kind of fall off. I ain't trying to push nobody into the grave, but they do what they do. They vote on name recognition. Even if we bring, more of the young people to the fore and get them to vote, it's still going to take some time to get enough to be able to tip the scale to the other side. So we're going to have to ride this out for a minute. So, at the end of the day, you got two old white-haired men. Somebody's going to run us for another 4 years. You got all these old people, and I tell you, we got to start grooming. We got to start training. We got to start getting people in position. But y'all listen to that statistic. That makes absolutely positively no sense, America, that our average age in this country is 37 and the next closest, the House at 57. The House with an average age of 57. That is a whole 20-year difference. Oh my God. 20 years difference between the leadership and the average age of your constituency. So I read that, man, and I looked at that and I said, y'all know what? That speaks volumes. And we gotta get some stuff turned around. We just gotta get some stuff turned around. So I hope, I try to say what I can, where we can actually SMJ. So I was getting ready to say, what is S? I was getting ready to say, somebody's gonna have to tell me what SMJ is. Shaking Michael Jackson? Was that shaking Michael Jackson? Shaking my head. I'm shaking my head to Royal Confessions. Old heads believing in old world ways. And that's that's really part of the problem, because I do feel like, Chris G, I think that younger minds are not, and I may be wrong here, are not as opposed to working with each other, because we see the young people, more and more of them are identifying multiracial and everything else. So all of the labels of division that if I got some mods, I'm not sure on that one, check it out. At the end of the day, we have those young people that are actually thinking, because a lot of the barriers and a lot of the labeling that we have had that separates us, those lines are being blurred. Those lines are being blurred. If we look at so many different areas where the lines are being blurred, where there's more pluralism, where there's more multi this and multi that, so you don't have a stark this side and that side, where we can get to even where things are not binary anymore. So we recognize those young people have a totally different mindset, which is not so separated. So then if I don't have that old school with the old heads, Chris, I believe in my old ways, I believe in this, and it's just really, really very stark and very staunch. This way on this side, hey, ain't no shades of gray. It's black or white. It's just the way it is. You see so much less of that. And hey, we know it's 50 shades of gray. So you get that blurring of the line, and that whole concept of everything being so separated to the point, there's no middle ground. So we get to the point where we now have had to experience where people have really, hey, Almahal, thank you for following. We really have to get to that place where I'm so staunchly Republican, or I'm so staunchly Democrat, that there's absolutely positively no working across the aisles. That doesn't represent the young people that we have right now. And I hope I'm right in that. and you all can chat me over there in the chat if you feel another concept in a different way about that. But I really do feel, because things are no longer all one way or the other, there's the ability to have a cooperative conversation, a cooperative effort. And this hard, fast, you're Democrat, we can't even talk. You're Republican, we can't even talk. And it didn't used to be that way, at least not like it is now. But that's where we are at this point in time. And I feel like when we get some of these young folks in here and get these old heads out of there that are so married and attached to their old world ways, things are going to change. But I think things are going to change when we make that transition over. So again, I looked at that, man, and that blew me away. And I wanted to share that this morning because I didn't know if you all knew that, because I knew they were old, but I didn't know it was that much difference between what was going on. Now, at the end of the day, let's get on to my girl, Breonna Taylor, the grand juror, because we finally had to have that battle to give the grand juror the opportunity to speak. And y'all know Cameron and them have been fighting to the death to keep, and while I'm saying that, I hope y'all understand, anytime they attempt to muzzle your voices, that's control, and it's to keep the system intact. And so I need you to have a mentality that says, I'm not afraid to speak, and I'm definitely not afraid to speak for what's right. I'm not just out here blowing hot air. I'm not just out here running my mouth, but I am standing up for what I believe is right. And I don't care what the setting is. I don't care what the situation is. And so I'm going to unshade right here. I don't care. Hey, they want to keep the truth from being told, but the only way they can do that is if we actually don't talk. Yes, BTD mom, blurred lines need to be more defined in legislation and church. We might have a conversation about that one. I like that. I like that position. We might have to have some more conversation on that. I look at the whole element of why the silence and why so many of us have been silent for so long. We were taught silence. We were taught be quiet. We were taught don't say anything within certain scenarios. Just don't say anything, or what to say. Make sure you say yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Don't look them, if you're in a place where they feel threatened, that you look them in the eye, look away, I'm gonna look you dead in your eye. And you gonna have to pop me dead in my eye for me not to look at you in your eye. Because at the end of the day, you put your panties on like I put my panties on. You put your clothes on like I put my clothes on. And you ain't no better than I am. I was saying to my friend on yesterday, and she was cracking up, because I said, listen, I'm going to say whatever I want to say. Now, at the end of the day, if I fall to somebody's ill will, which I'm not afraid of that. I don't believe I will, but even if it does happen, I ain't scared about it, because at the end of the day, I'm going to say what I'm going to say till I draw my last breath. You're not going to frighten me. You're not going to scare me. You're not going to intimidate me. Now, others of you may not feel that strongly about it, but I do. At the end of the day, I want you to know my name is Stillman. Let me spell it for you. STILLMAN. And my whole family is known to be rogue. I just happen to be a little bit on the calmer side. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and you're not going to intimidate me. So I am glad in these hours of coming forward. Now, understand this. I had some traumas that happened to me when I was a child, and I wasn't able to protect and defend myself. But at this stage and age, I know both sides. I know the being quiet, and I know the speaking out. And this is the reality of it. speaking out always helps me to feel better. So if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. But my lips are going to bump. My lips are going to talk. My lips are going to spit truth. And I'm going to do it all the time. You're not going to make me be quiet. I have to say that I appreciate this jurist that is juror that is saying, y'all not going to shut me up, because at the end of the day, there were no homicide charges even presented to us. Come on. Nene, you better help me talk. All them snaps. Thank you. None of this was even presented. And I'm going to say, like Snoop Dogg said the first day that the results came out, those walls, the neighbors' walls, got more justice than Breonna Taylor did. Insanity. I got a shade on that. Insanity. But I unshaded because this juror would not let it go. I got an unshade on that. And so far, it's just one that we're being told of. But listen, if you got to stand alone, speak your truth. We are not afraid to speak. Speak your truth. I don't care if the system is against you. I don't care if the people are against you. Yes, Daniel Cameron lied. He lied to deny justice for Breonna. At the end of the day, I don't care who stands against you. If it's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, stand for it and speak up. You're not going to intimidate me. So this one lone juror, listen, I think they deserve a standing ovation. I love it. I absolutely, positively love it. Now, if you hadn't done evil, you wouldn't have to try to suppress this. And so I feel, I hope, and I pray that people will galvanize behind this juror. I really do. I hope that people will really stand behind this one juror and insist that this information be released to the public. One juror was not afraid to speak. That's all you need, is just one that's not afraid to speak. Otherwise, this case, whether y'all realize it or not, it will be poof, just gone. But this one juror that's insistent to tell the truth. And I'm like, shoot, by now, we should have had all 12 of them. By now, you think. But unfortunately, we've created a system where people are afraid to stand up for fear of what kind of ramifications that's going to have for me and mine. I get it. But I would much rather know in my shondo that I did everything in my power, even if it cost me my life. Because if we realize that's the same decision that the people in the civil rights movement back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, they had to make up their mind. I'm willing. I know full well I may not walk up out of here. I enjoyed the interview that they did when Get in Good Trouble. Y'all help me. John, Get in Good Trouble. When he talked about how he really, when he was crossing that Selma Bridge, he really thought after the first crack on his head, and then the beatings behind where he eventually lost consciousness. When he regained consciousness, he was surprised that he was still alive. John Lewis, thank you. Y'all help me, because I told you my little brain. John Robert Lewis told the story. But they crossed that bridge with every intention, knowing full well whether they lost their lives or not, it's worth it. And that was just, and I think about that for the right to vote, for the right to be able to go to the polls, for the right to be able to sit at a lunch counter, for the right to be able to do just basic human things. At some point, you got to make up in your mind, it's worth the sacrifice should it come to that. Commitment that's, get in good trouble. Get in good trouble. And the man is barely cold, and we're fighting for many of the things that he brought to pass. We're trying to make sure that suppression of the vote, oppression of the people, gerrymandering, all kinds of tinkering and tampering to keep our voices mute, all kinds of things. And the man is not cold. Why? Because we never really moved away from that base. And as long as we continue with these same old heads in the office on both sides, as long as that old world and old school thinking, no quit. That was the Stillman family motto. Stick and stay until they carry me away. That's the truth. That's Stillman. You had to know, man, the old Stillmans were characters. The old Stillmans were almost like outlaws and everything else. And they were the laws. Many of them were police officers and everything else. But I mean to tell you, they didn't play. They didn't take no stuff. But at the end of the day, they believed in sticking together. And that's one motto that they always taught. That's one motto. Thank you so much, Princess Scarlet Matilda. Thank you for liking the stream. They believed and they taught Stillmans, you stay together. I don't care what you got to do. You stay together. Now, they might fight each other like dogs, but you ain't going to come up and fight them like dogs, or they going to stop their fight with each other to beat you down for coming up trying to jump on one of them. So that mindset, stick and stay till they carry us away. That was the whole idea. We ain't going down unless we all go down together. I feel like we have to have that kind of mentality. And again, I'm not talking and advocating and espousing the idea of violence. I'm talking about where we come together and we determine one with another. It means enough to me. Somebody should have been standing up, and I think there have been some protests, but not very much conversation about it. Somebody should have been protesting for those little kids that were apprehended while their parents had been deported. Somebody should have been saying something. Are y'all hearing me talk to you this morning? Somebody should have been outraged for those little kids and outraged for the parents of those little kids. And why it is we assume this automatic position of submit, give up, can't do nothing. Oh yeah. If enough voices unite and say no, if enough people who speaks up, and that's taking me, and the timing is right, Chris. Thank you. We're just segueing right on it, because there were, I do believe that there were people that were and are and have been, but the number's been so small. Their voice has almost been muted because they can't get enough traction of people to come in and come together. We should have been coming together for them. We should have been coming together for Breonna Taylor, everybody. I'm not talking about one specific group. I'm talking about everybody. We should have been coming, all of these different atrocities that have been going on in the country. It's not time for us to keep looking at somebody else and saying somebody else is going to do it. It's time for us collectively, by whatever means. You may not be able to come outside and do XYZ, but find some kind of way to get in the struggle. Find some kind of way to become a part of the voice that's speaking against injustice. Whoever it's against. Somebody, like I said, who besides the Asian community is crying out about the injustices, even and up to going into the hospital and being mistreated and abused and not treated because they're of Asian descent because somebody keeps saying China virus? That is an injustice that all of us need to be outraged about, because everybody deserves to be treated in a hospital that wore a mask. You heard what I said. No meds and no beds. These people are solely by their descent and the color of their skin being mistreated, or in the medical scenario, not treated at all, because people are refusing them treatment. We all ought to be mad about that. We all ought to be talking about that. We all ought to be pushing a different agenda and a different narrative that says this has got to stop. We're not going to stand for it. We are not going to stand. We, the people. And until we take our power back, until we say we are the ones that run this country, we elect you to represent us, but we run our country. Until we realign what is misaligned, we're going to keep going through this insanity. And I'm going to say it once more and again. Corporations are not human beings. And their votes and their money should not be more important than I am. At the end of the day, I don't care how y'all talk about the economy. I don't care how you talk about Wall Street. I don't care how you talk about all of this other stuff with the stocks and bonds. At the end of the day, we are human beings and we have rights. And a corporation should not have as much and or more right than I have because it makes money. There wouldn't be a corporation if our bodies wasn't working them. Come on here. So at the end of the day, yes, this is our organ that tells us, make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you rest. I've seen more and more posts very openly where people are saying, I'm depressed. I can barely make it when I get up in the morning. And this is the thing. Don't you all long? I told you, I feel like I'm in Handmaid's Tale. Don't you long for the day where you don't get up every single day with more drama from the White House? And I'm not trying to be partisan in that. I'm just saying something's wrong when it's continuous, nonstop drama. I don't run my personal world that way. Every day, new drama. 10 minutes later, more drama. 15 minutes later, more drama than that drama. Oh my God, the people are tired. You talking about they tired of COVID, they tired of drama. Because at some point, if we're going to be healthy, we've got to come to a place of living and residing and abiding. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. We're not trying to live the Twilight Zone. We're not trying to live the edge of night. We're not trying to live as the world turns. We're not trying to live, as SK8843 said the other week, dark shadows. We're not trying to live the Handmaid's Tale. This is not a reality show, and it's not a soap opera. We need rest. And so with that, I'm going to tell you all, find whatever ways you have to do. What I've been doing, I have found it very healing and very helpful on my lunch hour. When I take my break, there are lakes and ponds, because I love water. Nature, I love it. And I'll get in the car and just drive. And I'm not going that far away from my house. 5-7 minute drive, sit at the water, eat my lunch, look at the sparkle, watch the sailboats, whatever the case may be. Because I realize that in this mode that we're in right now, you got to do some self-care. You have to do some things to slow your own world down and take care of yourself. That's very critical. And I feel like today I want to stop and say that, because whether it's mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever way it's draining on you, replenish. Enjoy your breath. Now, the word of the day I selected, and I'm going to be transparent because, we've been talking about coming at this from a different angle. I am encouraging us to look at a whole new way of approach. And so we started talking about Scrum, looking at diversity. That's what DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That is the world that we want to see. That is the world that we want to create, where there is complete diversity, complete equity, and complete inclusion of the peoples of the world, respectively and specifically Black people in this country, indigenous people in this country, and every other oppressed group that has purposely been put out of the narrative and excluded. We got to bring everybody in. And so today I really wanted to deal with this word intent. You heard me say it earlier when we were talking about the children being separated from their parents, and the parents being now, I'm still just so irritated. If y'all can't tell, that story and the way they wrote it just made me so irritated. Like, oops, they just disappeared. We hunted for them. We don't know where they went. Oh my God. You deported them. Okay. You, United States of America, you deported these parents and kept their children. And the question begs, what's your intent? What was your intent? It ain't right. At the end of the day, don't try to sell us a bill of goods, because at the end of the day, it ain't nothing but the devil. You're not going to trick us and fool us into regurgitating that same story that y'all love for us. Propaganda. You want us to propagandize all of your rhetoric, because God bless America. America's doing some devilish stuff.
Ain't nothing but the devil.
So I'm not going to pick up that narrative. I'm not going to sing your song. I'm not going to tell it, because we need to figure out how to make it right. How do we make it right? You do not separate little kids from their parents and then send their parents off and keep the kids. Intent. What was your purpose and what was your motive? I'm going to be transparent here, because, we've been talking about DEI. We've been talking about Scrum. Scrum, for those that may be your first time here, we're looking at a framework of dealing with complex issues and a means to resolve them and come up with something that deals with, from the 3 pillars, transparency, and then inspection. And lastly, we got to go back and adapt. So those are the 3 pillars of Scrum. Transparency. Okay, make sure you get that. And then I'm stopping for those that might be taking, some folks take notes. Transparency. And then we have to come back and inspection. We got to look at it. We have to really, and I'm encouraging, first and foremost, before we talk about anything on the external, I want you to go to the internal. Be transparent with yourself. Some folk just lie. They just deceive themselves. They know good and well. No, this isn't lining up. 1 + 1 is not equaling 2. There's some things going on inside of me that I still need to get right. I know it all ain't. And that transparency will make you acknowledge it and do something about it. that introspection. Go inside and inspect yourself, introspect before you do a regular inspection on everything in your external world, because I need you to make sure. I need you to clean up whatever's going on inside. And that's not a negative, because we all got something inside that needs to be cleaned up. Okay, so there's no negativity there. And we have to watch it, because day by day I may have cleaned myself up here, something that came in because of experience in my life, but then another experience happens 2 weeks down the road. I got to make sure that I go back and be transparent and inspect that as well. And then after I've been transparent and I've inspected it, then I definitely have to deal with whatever I need to adapt to keep this software program up to date and current and in its best that it can possibly be. Because at the end of the day, I want to be my best. I believe there's greatness in me. I believe there's greatness in every last one of you. I believe there is greatness in every person that walks the face of this earth. But I feel and believe that you have to continuously go through the process of being transparent with yourself, inspecting yourself, and adjusting and adapting yourself. I feel like you got to go through that process continuously for growth. I think when you don't do that, what the result is people become stunted. People become stuck. People become traumatized. And it's almost like in psychology, when you have people that are caught in ruminating, and they just ruminate. They can't, it's like I can't move another step forward because I'm always replaying and rethinking and going back over everything that happened. And I know sometimes you say, well, maybe that's a part of the inspection process when you do it and move forward. But when you do it and you're stuck and it's just for the reality, if let's be transparent, I'm just doing it because I'm stuck here and I keep doing this same thing. I keep thinking, I keep reliving, I keep watching, I keep replaying it in my mind. And, oh, I should have done this and I should have done woulda, shoulda, coulda. Woulda, shoulda, coulda will take you out. I need you to come to a place where you can move forward. Okay, I didn't do it. So now let's inspect it and let's adapt. I didn't do it. Woulda, shoulda, coulda is not your answer. Inspect it. How could you have made different choices? And then adapt. Don't sit there for the next 5 years inspecting how I could. No, you're stuck, baby. You're stuck. And you may need to get professional help to get unstuck. So at the end of the day, this process needs to go on repeatedly. And listen to what I'm saying. You ain't going to pray that out. You ain't going to fast that out. You ain't going to speak in tongues that out. Do you heard what I'm saying? Because this whole religious theology and philosophy that you cannot deal with it and it's just going to get okay. No, baby. You're going to have to deal with some stuff. Am I putting down those methods and ideologies as far as being helpful to you? No, I'm not saying it cannot be helpful, but I am saying it's not going to fix your trouble. It's not going to fix the issues that are on your plate and the things that are on your table. That's why when you look at folks, you can go in and see 25 years later and they've made no progress. But they fasted, they prayed, they spoke in tongues in their prayer language, and they still hung up. So, and I'm not trying to beat down any one particular group. I'm just saying overall, because religion has been a culprit. Religion has been complicit in not helping people to deal with their stuff and move forward. And I'm just saying, it just has. So at the end of the day, when we start looking at how we utilize that, the 3 pillars of Scrum in our personal lives first, then I feel like as we are in that process, because again, that adaptation is going on continuously. You don't stop. Continuously. I'm striving every day to be better than I was last year. I want to be a better person than I was last year. I'm constantly looking and reevaluating what needs to change. What do I need to temper? What needs to be balanced? What needs to come forward? What part of me that still has some of the leftover of being a victim? What part of that still needs to be dealt with and eradicated in my world so I can be free to be my full me? What do I need to do? Constantly working on that. Well, at the end of the day, and I'm gonna be transparent here. At the end of the day, you still have to come back and then take it out to the group. And now what I've done internally, then we do with the group. I'm going to be transparent because just some things that I want to talk about even in the course of the process, just to this point, thus far, I'm saying in time. On last week, my sister and another individual, we came together and we met together because we're still working constantly to move Not Afraid to Speak as an organization forward. That's going to be something viable that can really make a difference, where we're not just talking and not coming up with solutions and being part of the solution and helping to bring the world that we want to see of diversity, equity, inclusion to pass. So we as a group were meeting and talking, and something came up in that conversation. And one of the parties, I love her to death. One of my white sisters, she is all about the vision, because I've told you all, I'm not trying to do this one-sided with one particular group. We need all the teams to come together. We need all the teams to come together. So as we were talking, it came to a point where there was some sensitivity that came up in the course of conversation. And understand that at the very beginning, I said this on last week, you got to, my cousin Melanie Coffee, I want to give her props for this, but as she was teaching the workshop, she made a comment that has stuck down in my spirit. And she said, this is a time in a season where you've got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. You've got to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. Why? Because as we become transparent, team to team, group to group, there are going to be some areas that we need to talk about that's going to be uncomfortable. But if we're going to be transparent, it's got to happen. Those conversations have got to be put on the table, and we've got to talk about it for real. We can't do it in a political correctness and trying to tiptoe through the tulips to make sure I don't say something that's going to hurt your feeling. So my white sister made the comment, and I won't say exactly what the comment was, but basically she was addressing the fact that she felt uncomfortable to be completely transparent because she didn't know how it was going to be received by the black sisters in that conversation. And so my other sister, my black sister, had some real down to earth, real raw comment. And when I say raw, I don't mean abusive. It was in no wise abusive. It was just real. It was pure. It was truth. And I'm gonna tell you what, the truth will make you free. She spoke some truth in that situation, black to white. And so my white sister, as the conversation went ahead and developed, that elephant that was in the room was abolished because we had truth up in there. And it was a beautiful process. All of us walked away feeling good. We felt free. We felt closer. We felt a stronger bond. We felt unified, and we talked it out. And I said to them, what happened with us right here in this room, this virtual room, because we did it virtually, this is what we've got to now take out to the next outcropping group. We did it amongst ourselves. Now let's take it to the 10. Then let's accomplish this in the 10, and then let's take it to the 50. And then let's accomplish this same process in the 50 and take it to the 1,000. Are you hearing what I'm saying? It has to keep going. It has to keep going. It has to keep going. But at the core of it, the conversation was able to be a healthy and hard, uncomfortable conversation because of our intent. Our intent was to work together. The intent was not to shame. The intent was not to make somebody look bad. The intent was not to guilt my white sister into feeling some kind of way about what's happened to black people in this country. That was not the intent. You've got to come to a point in this process where, as we're working together, we've got to keep and hold people's feet to the fire about their intent. When the government first separated those children from their parents, there should have been a challenge as to the intent. But especially when they sent the parents away and kept the children and tried to act like, oh my God, what happened to the parents? You deported them. What's your intent? So as we come into this place of the new, I want you to keep continuously before you as you're dealing with people, because this is going to determine how you want to deal and need to deal with people. Hear me, because there's some people that are going to come in and their intent was not right from the beginning. So when you hear me talking about total inclusion 100%, but you've got somebody in that has no intent of doing right, then I am not compelled to try and play this game of put my head in the sand and let you run amok when I already know your intention is not right. So, because you're not going to poison what we're doing. And I need you to hear me, because there are going to be people that they're going to want attention. They're not about working through. They just want attention. They're going to be people that are going to come as my friend, Royal Confession says, brown starters, brown stuff starters. They just coming to start the brown stuff and stir it up. So as you begin to interact, and again, so I said I wanted to do this to be transparent, because I wanted to talk about reality. Yesterday in our broadcast, somebody came in and let me stop right down. Thank my moderators. Thank the mods for keeping the channel clear and clean. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I need to really thank you every day for doing the work that you do. Because you all know my content is somewhat sensitive. And so we got folks, and it's out there on several platforms. We have folks that come in with different intents, in different intentions. So on yesterday, as we were broadcasting in this old cube, yes, you, just me and you, one-on-one, just me and you, somebody came in yesterday and wanted to have a rant about how we felt about pedophilia, or brought up the issue of pedophilia, some kind of way. And so I appreciate the mod, because we do have a delay. I put a delay on comments for that exact purpose, if we need to deal with something before it gets up on the screen where everybody can see it. So at the end of the day, and again, my word is intent. At the end of the day, my mod went out there, whispered a conversation with this individual and said, that's not what we're talking about today. The comment seems a bit trollish. What's your intent? And so the person came back, didn't give the right answers. And I thank God for mods that got discernment, and let that be a word for each of you. Have some discernment. And when I say that, I'm not talking about this whoop whoop spooky stuff. People will show you, as Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them. When people show you, and what did I say yesterday? Turn your senses back on. Where the church keeps telling you, get out of don't look at what you see. And I preached on this on Sunday in our sermon. The idea that you've got to be sensitive to the Spirit, to let the Spirit, allow the Spirit to tell you which way to go. Allow the Spirit to tell you, are you following what you see with your eyes, or am I doing something that is so radically different that doesn't matter what it looks like? Believe the Spirit. Be sensitive to the Spirit. But 9 times out of 10, if I can be so bold as to say that, 9 times out of 10, that one time exception to the rule. There's always going to be an exception to the rule. But 9 times out of 10, God gave you those senses because he intends for you to use them. And the problem that has come is that people, rather than believe what they see, heard, smell, touch, taste, those senses that are working in them, and even that sixth sense of I just felt it in my shando, because you're spiritual people. We are spiritual people. Sometimes you will ignore all of that and just barrel straight ahead when the person is showing you all along what their intent is. And I'm here today to tell you, as we are on this journey, don't get caught up with the wrong intent. So my mod was able to ascertain intentions are not right. So they got kicked. Now, this is the beauty of what the person said. And the reason why I decided to come here today, and I'm being completely transparent, because the person came back and said, well, why can't I be like the 5% that you said you was gonna? So they wanted they wanted to throw the words that I said back at my moderator as if she was doing an injustice. Now, you all know that I've been saying I want total inclusion. If there's 5% out there that does not have a good feeling about where we are and what we're doing, we want to keep the conversation going. We want to keep addressing with them why, what's going on, inspect, and adapt until we get to 100% inclusion. And that's a true word. So the challenge was set and put forth to my moderator that did the kick, that you sitting here, you know, and I want y'all to be ready for this stuff. It's almost like you talking out of both sides of your neck, because I just heard, and apparently the individual was listening because they heard and regurgitated back enough of what I said to try to use that as weapon. And I want you to understand, particularly in these days and times, with what has gone on in the government, people have learned very effectively to try to weaponize your words. But that, first and foremost, when you try to use my words as a weapon against me, that lets me know your intent right off the bat. Because if you're not trying to have a real conversation of enlightenment and getting a better understanding, but you want to try to take what I said and use it as a weapon, that's the wrong intent already. And this is where I wanted to really become transparent, because we got to talk about it. If we're looking at, if we're experiencing, and at the end of the day, you can have that person go and say, yeah, she's talking about, I want everybody to be included. But then when I started talking about pedophilia, they put me out. That's not what we're talking about. Ain't nobody in this room talking about pedophilia. And you want to come and bring in a whole different agenda and throw out and vomit a whole bunch of stuff on the group. And I'm not going to get sidetracked and distracted. And that's what I want you to understand. Intent will determine whether or not you allow distractions to come in and get you off base. And we've got to be very, very sensitive to that. Now, and I know it sounds like, but you, to some that really maybe haven't heard what I've been teaching the whole time, go back and watch some of the previous episodes so you can get the fullness of what I'm saying. The idea is to get the whole team on the same page at once. The idea is to get the whole team in a place of unity. The idea is to work through and we as a team determine what the issue is, number one, and we as a team figure out through the process of, again, transparency. I'm also looking at inspection, and I am adapting whatever we're doing all along this journey. So each team has an assignment. Each team works in their area. Each team then comes back to the table to unify as one, and we put it all together. And our intent is progress in a unified effort. Our intent is not to have, and this is, I want you to hear me. I've seen it in church. I've seen it in government. I've seen it in so many institutions where we've got an agenda before us and somebody comes with the off the wall side agenda. And we'll get so distracted talking about this off the wall side agenda that we never address and meet the agenda for which we met. And these types of tactics that have kept us from making progress, I don't care if it's in your relationship, because I want you to take these same things and apply them to yourself. I want you to apply them to your relationship. When you're talking to your significant other, your children, your friends, your whomever, your employer, I want you to employ transparency. I'm not just talking about for this one area. Let's just do this here. I'm talking about, I want you to experience a total life change where you operate with Scrum and Agile concepts throughout. I am going to always deal from transparency with myself. When I deal with my partner, my mate, my significant other, my loved one, I'm dealing with transparency. When I deal with my children, I'm dealing with transparency. When I deal with my employer, I'm dealing with transparency. When I deal with my ace boon coon, my best friend, my bud, my all of that in a bag of chips, I'm dealing with transparency. I'm inspecting our relationship. How can I make it better? I'm inspecting myself. How can I make myself better? I'm dealing with myself. Now, what do I need to adapt? I want you to do that all the way across the board, and then do it with intention. I want you to live intentionally. Stop living haphazardly. If I'm going to deal with myself and as I deal with others, what is my intention? What do I have a goal? Am I just out here randomly wandering across the world, in the earth, so that I can come back and say, man, I didn't get anything in life that I wanted. I'm discouraged. I'm depressed. Life didn't give me all that stuff y'all talked about. What did you want? What was your goal? What were you seeking after? What were you seeking after? What was your intent? I just wanted a good life. Well, what's a good life? Just a good life. When we do so many things in ambiguity and we really can't put anything measurable, we can't put any specifics, we can't put anything to it, how do you expect? What do you expect? You're going to get as the world turns. That's what you're going to get, that soap opera. As the world turns, whatever pops up and crops up in your life is what you're going to get. And whatever, it drops off at your door. And you're going to be constantly in drama and trauma. Constantly reacting instead of being proactive. What do you want? What is your intent? Are you being intentional? You can't be intentional if you don't even know or have a clear vision of your intent. Then, additionally, you've got to be able to discern the intent and the intentions of others that are coming in your space. You're not going to come in my space and, listen what I'm saying, run amok. You can be in my space. I'm not dismissing you from my space if you're willing to be here and it fits in the purpose and the intent. But if you've got another agenda and your intention is someplace else to create a whole different atmosphere, and this is a word I want you to really start paying attention to: energy. When people bring all kinds of crazy energy up into your space and it doesn't meet your intent, then address it. Transparency. Inspect it. And it's going to have to adapt. And that adapt, really, after having the conversation with my moderator on yesterday, and you don't have the same intention as what this broadcast is about, the adaptation was that you're no longer in this feed. And it's not about being me. Even having conversation. Come back. I'm willing to conversate with you. I'm willing to have a conversation with you later on down the road. But right now, as long as you're in a stubborn and obstinate mindset that has a totally different agenda that's working against the agenda that we're doing, this isn't your space for this time. Maybe it will be later on. Am I making sense? So I want us to really have an element, because at the end of the day, I'm not, and we're not going to derail the process, and we're not going to derail the people that want to go with the same intent. because we have one person that wants to be complicated and difficult with the intent of a monkey wrench, not an intent of being apart, not with the intent of working along. So this is the thing, right? No running amok in my space. I'm a lion in my own space, and you're going to hear me roar. And that's, again, I want to say thank you to the moderator, because the moderators, they know my energy, they know my intent, and we're not kicking anybody to the curb. But again, and you bring up a very good point, SK8843, you are a lion. We've been taught intimidation, to be intimidated. But this is my space. You can't come in my space and run my space. So thank you, Rebel. Thank you for the biddies. Thank you for the biddies. You can't run my space. But I'm saying this because I want to be transparent to you. I want to be transparent with you. Because number one, I want to be transparent to the point that we had to kick somebody yesterday because they had the wrong intent. I also want to be transparent to the point. Thank you, BTZ Mom. Thank you for the biddies. We want to be transparent to the point that you've got to be wise in how you are operating. And while everybody, I absolutely positively mean everybody, is welcome and a part of what we do here in this space, you still got to roll with the intent. That's not only for me here, but that's for you wherever you are. And that's for these teams as we bring them together, because you're going to have the ability to discern and understand and define intent. You all hear what I'm saying? And so, because we want diversity, we want equity, and we want inclusion. If you're coming to block that and stop that, if you're coming to take it someplace where we ain't going and had no intention of going, and that's the thing, I am not intimidated. I am not, because there are enough people that will have the right heart, that will jump on the bandwagon and roll with us in this endeavor. That for the one or two that fall off, get this, I'm not even saying they're not whatever. They just need to go find the pedophile group. They just need to go find the pedophile group. We're not the pedophile group. So go out there and find the pedophile group. And at the end of the day, make it fit. Hear me when I say every customer is not your customer. Every individual, and again, you're talking about coming together. You're talking about being one. Exactly. But remember when I said you have prides of lions. This pride here, this pride here, this pride here, this pride here. And what's the idea? To bring all of those prides together into a oneness and a unity. However, there are each of those relative segments that go to each of those different prides. This is an African lion. This is an Asian lion. This is a honor. You understand what I'm saying? They're still lions, but they hail from different geographical locations. They may have some differences in the way they look. They may have some differences in the way that they operate. And you all have to learn, please do embrace the power that you have within. You may have to learn to be able to identify, I'm an Asian lion, you're an African lion. Okay, I'm gonna help you find your African lions. But at the end of the day, we're talking about two different prides. But at the end of the day, those two prides are going to come together within their respectives. And eventually, we'll all be able to go everywhere. And the blurred lines we were talking about earlier will become more and more apparent, effective. But you got to work out your stuff. And what am I saying to that? Because I said there are certain things that I know Black people need to get together and talk about. Well, are you going to exclude all of the other teams and groups that are out there? Listen, on certain issues that we need to talk about, we need to talk about. And Do you want to sit in? Do you want to listen? Do you want to learn? Do you want to grow? Okay. But can you have an active voice in this conversation? Some things not, because you ain't black and you can't, your voice, your understanding, your reality is totally different. And so if your reality cannot identify with our true reality, I'm not going to keep sidelining to listen to interjections from somebody that has no concept and is not in touch with our reality. I'm not excluding you. It's just that this conversation there's some conversations you just need to have with your family and your family alone. Everybody else, you don't need your mama. You don't need your daddy. You don't need all your siblings. You just need to have a family conversation between you and your family. Does that exclude you from all of those other extended family members? Absolutely not. But this conversation is not for them. This conversation is private between your family. That's what I'm talking about. So as we go into all of these different levels of moving towards the world that we want to be, the world that we want to see, and the world that we are, towards diversity, equity, and I'm gonna say it again, 100% inclusion, because at the end of the day, the idea is to get to 100% inclusion. So hopefully one day we will have intent. That's it, SK, intent. One day we will have a time when we will join together with the pedophile community, but that's not this community. And when we get there and we have the conversation together, the same way we're working on our dynamic, they will have been working on their dynamic. And if we go through with the idea of total inclusion, we can then bring our truth, our reality, what we've learned to the table, and vice versa. But at the core, and especially in these early phases, the question becomes clear intent. Clear intent. With that, I'm gonna close and again address the reality. I may come in to different groups and listen to their conversations. I, as a listener, I, as a participant from the outside, I need to check my own intent. I'm gonna always go back to myself. I'm gonna always go back. Thank you, Jams JJ. I'm gonna always go back to myself. When I go someplace, and I want you to hear me, transparency. There are some things that you may be oblivious to that are inside of you. I need you to be transparent with yourself. Do I have biases? You can't see them on the outside, but they're on the inside. Do I have different areas inside myself that, and I encourage people this way. If there's something that you just can't stand and it goes all over you and gets your goat and da. My trigger points and my buttons, I know why they're, most of them, I know why they're trigger points, and I know why they're buttons for me. And be it good or be it bad, I had to take the time to understand my trigger points and my buttons, so that I could know how to deflect, how to minimize, how to de-escalate if somebody came along trying to push my buttons. That means I got to know myself. It doesn't matter about the person that's pushing the buttons. I've got to know myself. I've got to know me. I've got to know why and what, so that I can diffuse, de-escalate, or come with it if I need to come with it. Because there has been a side of me that has been silent. And so there's certain areas and certain particular areas where I have a tendency to be silent. But I have to go inside and do introspection and be transparent with myself. Where is this coming from? So that when I go out and interact in conversation or behavior with other people, I got to be able to know where my own stuff is coming from. What's my intent? So as I've had this conversation on today, I really want us, all of us, this is not toward one person to release somebody else, and I'm definitely not throwing stones. And even in my attempt to be transparent today about what happened in our broadcast on yesterday, I want you to know I'm only doing this not to make or throw stones at that individual. I wanted to be transparent in this moment and in this hour to identify the need to look at intent, especially after the individual challenged my moderator on almost like I'm lying. She said she wants everybody included, but y'all put me out. No, you got put out because you refused to come in with the right intent. And if you ever come back with the right intent, we'll accept you back. And that's what I'll say about that. So I want you to hear what I'm saying. And I want you to feel empowered. And I feel empowered to do it. You know, I'll accept and embrace any judgments that y'all want to make against what happened. I love the intent that happened in my conversation with my two sisters, my white sister and my black sister. Hey, Daryl, thank you so much for liking the stream. I love you, man. That's my classmate. That's my brother. He's a redheaded, intelligent genius walking the face of the earth, but that's my brother. Thank you, Daryl. I'll take your feedback about what you feel. But at the end of the day, I feel good because I feel like we did everything that we could to check that individual's intent. And just like I said, they can come back and do it again. When my sister, my white sister and my black sister, we were together and had that conversation. And man, I tell you, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because if we're going to work through this stuff, if we're going to work through these phases, we've got to get the uncomfortable stuff on the table, and we've got to be transparent. We've got to inspect so that we can understand one another. And then we've got to do whatever adaptations need to happen. I'm serious about this. This isn't a play thing. It isn't a game with me. And I have no problem being transparent in there for a hot second. Can it let me know? Somebody chat with me down there and let me know if you can hear me. I hope we didn't disconnect altogether. Hello, hello, hello. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep talking as if it hasn't disconnected. Nobody's talking to me yet. Nobody's talking to me.